There's a famous kasha the Rishonim ask. We have a tradition that Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov kept Kol HaTorah Kulo. The Gemara in Yuma learns it out from different psukim. It's specifically talking about Abraham, but the Rishonim Achronim applied as well to all the Avos. So there's a famous kasha, the Ramban. How could Yaakov marry two sisters? There's a biblical violation in the Torah to marry two sisters. So how could Yaakov go ahead and marry two sisters? So there are many answers to the Shaila. The Ramban himself, Ushitason, answers that when the Avos kept the Torah voluntary. So when did they volunteer the Torah? That's only when they're in Eretz Yisrael. When they're in the land of Israel, that's the Ramban Shita. The whole ikar purpose of all mitzvahs is when you fulfill them in the land of Israel. However, in Chutz La'aretz they never took it upon themselves, and therefore they never lived with two sisters when he was never married to two sisters when they were in Eretz Yisrael. And other Rishonim we'll see give different answers. There's the Orach Chaim HaKodesh and Rav Chaim Shmuel and Rav Chaim Volozhin. You have the Orach Chaim, you have the Maharal Prague, you have others we'll get into. But there's a famous answer from Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky. Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky says, he asks the same question, how could Yaakov marry two sisters? So he says, because what happened? Yaakov promised to marry Rachel. At the end of the day, Lavan tricked him. So what's she going to say? Well, sorry, Rachel, I don't have to keep my word anymore. I don't have to marry you because your father tricked me. And you know why I'm not going to marry you? Because you know what? I want to take out the chumrah. I have to take on the chumrah not marrying two sisters. So even though normally we know we have a principle in the Gemara, if you have a sin of kum ba'aseh, or a shei v'atas, sin of a commission, a sin of omission, usually shei v'atasa adav, usually being passive is the correct way. Nevertheless, certain times it's better, the Gemara says in Yevamos, that sometimes it's better to violate the kum ba'aseh than it is the shei v'atasa. So here if I marry two sisters, I violate the kum ba'aseh of a chumrah. If I don't marry two sisters, I'm shei v'alteh, I've violated the raisa. I'm not keeping my word. I'm staying away from falsehood. So therefore, that's what Rabbi Yaakov said. Derech Eretz, mensch l'chai forced me to go ahead and marry two sisters. And that's what they point out as well. That was the famous piece Rav Selevan used to always say. He used to, at the Mizrahi conventions, when he used to explain how could the Mizrahi government join the Israeli, the coalition government? They do terrible things. They do a lot of things anti-Torah. So Rav Selevan said, yeah, if I join the government it's bad. If I don't join the government it's even worse, because at least if we're there, a religious party, so at least we'll keep them a little bit in check. But if no one joins, others do even worse things. So even though joining the government might be a kum ba'aseh violation versus not joining, but by doing kum ba'aseh we're making it not as bad, so therefore it's better to violate the kum ba'aseh b'shei v'altasa. As Rav Soloveitchik always said, Vayered Hashem, it says God had a yerida. He went down to Mitzrayim. Why did he go down? Because he had to, in order to hatzal his chayis, so he went ahead and was metame himself. So many years later, the Aguda, when Rav Shach was in charge, he went ahead and he took on the government. He joined the coalition, and Rav Sturm of others said, Yarov Yav, how could you, the Chazon Ish, how could you go ahead and join the government? So Rav Shach wrote, it's Rav Shneur Kotler, and it was on all the yeshivas in America, or not all, but many. He wrote the reason. He says, even though it's true, the Gemara tells us in Yevamos, shei v'atasa adef, but we have a tradition from our ancestors, but certain times it's better to violate the kum ba'aseh. Basically said the same Yisod as Rav Soloveitchik did many years later, and he joined the government. In fact, Rav Shlomo Zalman, when he was Rosh Yeshiva in Kol Torah, there's a famous incident where he made a major party. A lot of his people gave money. They came to Israel, and it was a long thing, and it was hot, and he served them food afterwards. And they weren't observant, so many of the students said, but how could you, Rabbi? How could you serve food if they're not making a bracha? So he answered, he said, same yisod. And he said, if I give them soda, if I give them coke and they don't make a bracha, I'm over lefnei ivir d'Rabbanan, because that's the bracha, they're not making a bracha. But if I don't give them food, I'll be violated with sheva atasa, which is better. I'll violate the d'oraisa. I'll make a fool of Talmidei Chacham. I think, what an idiot. I schlepped all the way to Israel, I give this guy the money, he doesn't have the common decency of giving me food. They have a better to violate, sometimes even kum va'aseh. And that's how he writes as well, that there was a Kohen who was going to marry a Gentile, and it's terrible to marry a Gentile. Of course we prefer him to marry a religious Jew, but that wasn't the choice. So the question was, if let's say I could get him to marry a Grusha, a Kohen isn't allowed to marry a divorcee either. Or if Shlomo Zalman said it's a mitzvah to get him to marry a Grusha, better to violate the kum va'aseh, the Aveira of a Grusha, than the Sheva al Tasa, let him violate with Ne'ider and a Deraisa. That's the pshat. Rabbi Yaakov said, how could Yaakov marry two sisters? I have to. I can't, because of a chumrah, I'm not marrying two sisters, I can't violate my word. And that's the yisod of Rabbi Yaakov. Many times we get so caught up in the little chumras and stringencies, we lose sight of the big picture. We have to realize that we always have, in the moral dilemma, you always need to look at the whole picture before you make the appropriate decision. And usually, in many situations, sheva al tasa adef, I love at certain times, one can violate, it's better to violate averes b'kum ba'aseh than it is to sheva al tasa.